Mr. Hardigan.
Thank you, Chair Winslow. Just a couple more brief things. Mr. DeLosa would like to update you on two things regarding PJM and FERC matters.
We'll make it quick, Chairman and Commissioners. I know it's late. With your indulgence, there are two separate issues that the Delaware Commission has filed recently at FERC. The first one is in docket number ER 181314. We joined with several other organizations, did not take any position on the filing, simply requesting extension of time, as that filing that PJM made was fairly substantial. The Commission has granted, the FERC has granted that extension of time to May 7. Staff is working out several different potential options to reply to that filing. If the Commission wanted more detail, I would recommend them going into executive session, but I don't think that's necessary at this time. Staff is still working with several sets of organizations, and if we do choose to file something in this matter, obviously we would come before you and present it at a future date. The second issue is a little bit more substantive, but I'll keep it brief because it's very similar to something we filed in the past. On March 29th of this year, First Energy Solutions Corporation filed with the Department of Energy kind of a unique filing under a certain section of the Federal Power Act that actually asked the Secretary of Energy to declare a nationwide emergency. There are several sections in the Code of Federal Regulations that illustrate what an emergency under Section 202C of the Federal Power Act means. It was staff's position that none of these conditions had been met. That position was shared by a very large number of load interests in PJM, including some with which you're familiar, American Municipal Power, PJM ICC, ODEC, Delaware DPA, groups that we share opinions with often and share resources with often. We were able to join a large group of customers, customer interests, and file a very substantial protest to this matter. In my opinion, one of the only really substantial sets of comments to push back on the First Energy application, and in my opinion would be really the only grounds that would be available for appealing any subsequent secretary action. Staff feels that the comments that we made in this protest line up very closely with the comments that this commission filed in the Secretary of Energy's resilience docket, his notice of proposed rulemaking, you'll remember, from a couple of months ago. Some of the arguments are very, very similar, and really the major thing we added is a little bit of legal analysis about this particular section of the Federal Power Act and what would constitute an emergency and why First Energy's application fails to meet that standard. On those two issues, I'd be more than happy to take any questions. I know it's late, and if there are no questions, I would ask for a motion for ratification for both these filings.
Mr. Slater, you have any questions?
I don't. I would just say that the First Energy issue, I agree, is a really big deal. It could have just been for them. Instead, they said, you know, they should have coal and nuclear subsidies for the entire country, and I know that there's a lot of people that are looking at that and are very interested in it. So I think I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Do we bring
Commissioner
for a
Gray?
motion?
A motion or comments?
I'll offer a motion that the commission ratify both of these positions.
And I second.
Is there a discussion, Mr. DeLuca?
Commissioner Cree, you have a question?
No, I was just being proposed to go.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries.
Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners, as always.
It's a little scary to think about that particular issue and where it is and what might happen, so I think it is very important to document the legal impediments to what they want to do. So thank you for your work on that area.
Appreciate that support.
And thank you to the public advocate for its work in that area. Mr. Hardigan?
Thanks, Chairman Winslow. I just wanted to note that you are scheduled to address the PHI Board at their meeting at May 8th at 9 a.m. Based on a decision you made a couple hours ago, we will no longer have an evidentiary hearing on May 8th regarding Delmarva's energy efficiency programs, and our next meeting is May 8th.
Okay, thank you very much. Any more comments, Mr. Slater?
Real question. Is the PHI meeting open to the public, or do we know what is discussed at the meeting? Can we know?
It is not open to the public.
It is not.
The Chairman Winslow attends the meeting, I believe, once a year pursuant to the merger commitment.
Right. I just wasn't sure if the topics were discussed or anything, that's all.
I don't yet have the agenda for the meeting, but I know that they're not open to the public.
Well, but Mike, first of all, I don't know what the comments are in their totality as we sit here and talk, but I can assure you that they are ones that you are aware of. I mean, our opposition to certain things that are going on at FERC. The fact that we do have some appreciation for their support of us on the artificial island matter. I'd be happy to talk to you about, as a matter of fact, Matt and I are going to get together after this meeting, if you'd like to sit down with us and then listen to what we're talking about, and if you have some input you'd like to provide to us, I'd be happy to consider making comments along whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I just, it was part of the merger, and I think it's really appreciated, and I just was curious to know if it was open, so I appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, if there's nothing further, then we are adjourned.